cried the sparrow.
You're listening to the Sailing into Oblivion podcast, where we sit down with everyday people who do extraordinary things. I'm your host, Jerome Rand. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Today's show is one I actually recorded a week or two ago, back when I was up in Michigan. And I sat down with Eddie and Kelly, who have a YouTube channel and a website blog called Vanabond Tales. And obviously links in the description for that. But something really interesting has changed in their cruising. They're over in the Med on their 4th season. But now they're cruising with their 14-month-old. Big difference there. And it's changed kind of how they have to go about sailing, cruising, being on the water, thinking safety, all that sort of stuff. And I found it really, really interesting to talk about some of the things that they've had to do. And they've done a few videos about this as well. Really, really just a different type of adventure. And, you know, as captains and sailors, we have to always be thinking about safety and the crew and the boat and ourselves and all this sort of stuff. The idea of mixing in, you know, essentially an infant into that mix is, to me, mind-boggling. So obviously I had a lot of questions. They had all the answers in the world, and you know, they're continuing on, and they've actually upgraded and gone to a larger boat. I don't want to spoil much of the podcast that we talk about, but it was really, really great to have them on the show all the way from Greece. So it was one of those, thank goodness for the technology to be able to do this. But yeah, really, really interesting. Hopefully you enjoy this. Obviously, like I always say, if you want to help support this podcast, check the links in the description. And you can go from there. And if you're looking for any sort of coaching or possibly having me as a speaker, sailingintooblivion.com, you can reach out directly to me from that website. Without further ado, enjoy my podcast with the Vanabond Tales. Welcome, both of you, to the show. We had a little technical difficulty last time, but we finally got this. We've got Eddie and we've got Kelly, and Nora is somewhere in there. I can hear her.
Yeah.
Can you say hi,
Say
Nora?
hello.
Wow, the whole family. This is great. And that's the big subject of the show, is not only you guys sort of sharing some of your experiences cruising the Med, but also now doing it with that little one. And I got to say, I mean, I am very interested in how in the heck you can do that and prepare the boat. And I was watching some of the videos, and it really is great, man. I think you guys have taken a real smart approach to it.
Yeah, thanks. It was certainly a massive decision whether we were going to keep sailing or not.
Yeah,
with the baby, and yeah, we thought long and hard about it, and in the end, we decided to give it a whirl. And we've just finished our first season, and we're very, very pleased that we did give it a whirl. It's been wonderful. But it wasn't without its challenges.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I mean, we'll definitely have to get into some of the specifics, but I suppose right off the get-go, you know, if you could just do a little brief description of the whole Vanabond Tales history, because I know you guys were doing like van life. It's not just sailing, but it has been sailing seasons for the last, 4 seasons in the Med?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we started traveling together back in 2018. Kelly quit her job, and I was finishing up my job, and we bought a van in South America, and we drove around South America for a while, and then we bought a different van, which we built out ourselves in North America, and we drove down to Mexico. And just before, I think it was February 2020, we left that van in Mexico and flew back to Australia to visit my family where I'm from. And in March 2020, they shut the gate behind us. So we were, we were locked down for 2 years away from our van, and we didn't really know what to do, but we decided to pivot, and we bought a different van in Australia, and we kept on doing the van life thing, but this time in Australia. And then things finally opened up again. And by this point, we thought, we've probably got one more adventure, one more bucket list item we could probably get to before it's time to think about settling down and having kids and staying put for a little while. And the one thing that we both agreed,
Do we both agree? I think it was you pushing me.
you told me that learning to sail had always been on your bucket list.
I guess it was, yeah.
Maybe I'm remembering it.
Learning to sail is very different than going and buying a sailboat and never sailing before in your entire life, or ever even being on a boat.
That's a pretty good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's definitely a good, because I mean, there's so many similarities between traveling via the road, doing van life stuff, and then also sailing. I mean, obviously, I think there's a bit more of a skill set involved with sailing and a bit more risk. Well, maybe actually, I don't know. I might have to take that one back, because I do truly believe that driving is one of the most dangerous things we do. We're just so used to it that it doesn't seem like
highway at 100 kilometers an hour, 100 miles an hour in a metal tin is not inherently safe, even though we're conditioned to think it is.
Yeah, well, and then all of a sudden, just doing 6 knots on a sailboat on a windy day feels like, oh my gosh, this is crazy, and you could run faster,
Right? Yeah, that's a very good point. That's how I rationalize it a lot of the time. For us, there are a lot of similarities and a few differences, but ultimately we've decided sailing is a thing for us, because when we set out, we said, well, we've got this one more adventure in us. We'll buy a boat. We'll learn to sail it. We'll spend a season aboard, and then we'll sell it. Then we'll come back home and settle down and start thinking about starting a family and those things. But one season in, we're nearing the end, and we both thought, well, we could do this for another season, and then another season, and then
it kind of steamrolls into it. What was the attraction to the Mediterranean specifically?
I think it's a good place to learn to sail. It's got very consistent winds. There's a lot of anchorages. You're never too far from anything you absolutely would need. So it's a good place to learn how to sail. There's absolutely,
especially
where
we were in the Adriatic and the Ionian Seas, very sheltered, very predictable, as you said.
No tide. It's just a great place to learn how to sail.
And lots of boating going on, lots of boats for sale, and lots of marine services and marinas. So it was an easy place to ease our way into it, I guess.
Okay. Well, and I suppose that does make sense. I mean, compared to, well, I've done some sailing, on the east coast of Australia, and there are definitely some ports and stuff like that, but nothing compared to places like the Caribbean or the Med. And I think for most American sailors, because the Caribbean is obviously right there at our doorstep, it becomes pretty much a big target for us to go down there. And the Med is typically something people always do dream about once they get to a point where they feel like, I can cross an ocean now. Let's go do a season over there. But for you guys, you're on the other side.
Australia was never on the cards for a learn to sail experience. That sounds, I think that would have been an adventure that would have begun and ended very quickly.
Oh, dude, the Tasman Sea is no joke. When I was doing my circumnavigation, I mean, I was a few hundred miles south of Tasmania, but the South Tasman produced some of the scariest weather that I had to deal with. And then, you get to New Zealand, you're going underneath that, and it's a wild place. That's for sure.
Doesn't sound like a great place to learn. That's right. So that's why we ended up in the Med, where. Very, very calm by comparison.
Well, and what type of boat did you guys initially pick up? And this is the boat now that you are selling or have sold, because you're going bigger, right?
Correct. So thinking we were just going to do this for a single season, we started looking for something for the two of us. So we were looking in the 33, 36 foot range, but our budget wasn't finding things that we thought were going to keep us comfortably afloat for the season. So we ended up looking a little bit smaller, and we found an old but well-maintained 1986 Beneteau First 29.
Oh, nice.
I not knowing much about boats, it sounded a bit small, but in reality, coming from the van and having sort of two cabins and a separate toilet and a saloon table, this stuff was all, this felt like a mansion to us. So we were blown away by the size. But then sailing around, we're almost always the smallest boat in port or at the anchorage.
Right, right.
But it was a fantastic size vessel to learn to sail on. Easy for two of us to manage, and very cheap to maintain, and cheap to store, cheap to take to marinas and things. So, in hindsight, I think it was the perfect size boat. And we've had it for the 4 seasons. And I thought maybe we should upgrade before when we moved on with the baby.
And I said no, because I didn't want to make the investment of buying a bigger boat and then to turn around and be like, I can't do this. I can't live on a boat with a baby. It just seemed like too big of a risk to take.
Well, and that, yeah, Kelly, because one of the things that was interesting in your video is you were talking about how at one point, it seemed like this boat had plenty of room, but now that the third member is there, it's sort of like all the extra spaces are now filled, and it becomes almost it's like a jigsaw puzzle.
How much stuff a little like 80 centimeter tall kid could have with them.
And she needs lots of bits and pieces. She needs a pram and a seat to be strapped into, and all bits and pieces.
I have lots of cousins that have little kids, and just hopping in the car to go for the afternoon somewhere. I'm wild. Like, we're gonna pack this whole thing, I guess. All right,
crazy.
Sounds
you can't walk out the door without a duffel bag of stuff on your shoulder. Like, what is even in here? So it was it was kind of a compromise. We said we'll test it out, and if we still like it at the end of a season, sailing with the 3 of us on a little 29-foot boat, then I'm sure we can make it work, and I'm sure that we can make it work in anything. What's the dream boat? What are you aiming towards?
So we just bought it.
We've just bought it.
Oh, you did? Congratulations! We're on our way. Very cool.
We've left our boat in the east side of Greece with a broker, hoping he's able to sell it for us, and we're on our way to the west side of Greece to settle on our new boat, which, if it's not our forever boat, it'll be our long-term boat, we hope. It's a Moody 422. So
wow. Okay. Wow. You're going to have a ton of more space.
Yeah, a lot more space, but just a lot more boat to handle. I'm a little bit nervous about the learning curve. Our 29-foot Benetto's very light, very responsive, but the previous owner put a bow thruster in it and self-furling main, and very easy to handle. To a 9-ton boat without a bow thruster is going to be a learning curve. But
it definitely does. And I think one of the big things is when you're on smaller vessels, you can get away with sort of strong arming certain situations because, like you say, you can handle it a little bit easier. But once you get up to a certain size, the loads and the weights and the forces make it so that you really have to
be stronger, huh?
Oh yeah. Well, and that's the thing. We only have so much strength, so we really have to use our head and kind of make the right decisions and all that stuff so that we don't get ourselves in a situation. But with 4 seasons under your belt and a good head on your shoulders, you shouldn't have any trouble at all, and it'll be fun. It'll be exciting.
Yeah. I mean that's why we're glad we started on a little boat, even though at the time we're like, I'm miffed we couldn't get a 36-foot boat. I think the experience on a little boat's been really good, and now I feel a little bit more confident about moving up to something bigger, which is definitely important with the little one on board now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and did that factor into the decision as far as as you're looking at all these new boats? I don't know, kind of just the layout of the cabins, and what was that 100%. Like one of those things where you're like, okay, that's not going to work because I can't baby proof this. But
sure.
This is
one of the big selling points, beside its pedigree as a very sturdy sailing vessel. The layout of the center cockpit layout of the 422 with a couple of bunks next to the main aft cabin are absolutely brilliant for a baby,
perfect,
because she can sleep near us, but with a door between us, and we can also keep a spare guest cabin, or perhaps in the future even have someone come aboard to help us look after her, at times. So the layout was huge for us.
Gotcha. Well, and I did see in the video where you were talking about the modifications and stuff, like all the netting and all that sort of stuff. And that, I mean, you know, again, I know we had talked previously. I don't want to put any fears into your head, obviously, and I want to keep the discussion super light kind of thing. But I mean, when you first reached out, I'm just thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like I can prepare my boat for me, and that's it. And I get a little bit anxiety when I have somebody come on board because I'm so used to solo sailing.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of like a child, you know, an infant on the boat and crawling around, and oh my Lord, I mean, how you manage. And it's awesome that, you know, Eddie, it's you and Kelly. So you have, but it's in my head, I'm thinking like, how would I sail a boat and ensure the safety of this little one? Like, wow.
The first time she crawled up the companionway was quite a shell shock. We weren't quite ready for it.
It happened.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah.
She figured that out sort of in a couple of weeks, and we thought, we thought we had a bit more time to get on top of it. But
Yeah, it was crazy. We were like, okay, well, now we have to baby proof that. So it's just like you keep finding different things that she can get into that you have to then try to figure out how you can keep her away from that.
But we came in with a plan, and it was about preparing the baby, preparing the boat, preparing ourselves so that we felt pretty confident, and we weren't trying to do any ocean crossings. So we had certain rules about keeping our passages quite short. We baby proofed the boat to the extent that we could with netting, installing anchor points so she could be tethered, installing places to anchor down her car seat so she could be strapped in when we needed to both be on deck to do maneuvers. It included things like me going away and doing more formal qualifications. So I went and did my coastal skippers qualification just so we felt more confident. Upgrading the boat to include a life raft, which we hadn't had before because we'd always been sort of coastal sailing. We just hadn't felt the need. So
Right.
Yeah, there were a range of things we did in preparation to make ourselves feel a little bit more confident. But at the end of the day, the line that we fed ourselves was that, you know, if you're in an apartment or a van or a tent, wherever you are, a kid under 2, you need to keep a close eye on anyway. They'll go shove a fork in a PowerPoint or wander off the deck, or they're trying to kill themselves. Like they can't be at more than arm's length from you. So we didn't see the boat as the be all and end all, as long as we were sort of smart and safe about it.
Yeah. Well, and I really liked the rules, you know, where it's sort of, you have these guidelines and you just sort of stick to them. Now, I know there was that one video, which I thought was pretty funny, where you're like, we're already breaking the long passage rule. And
yeah,
Such a mistake.
and we got reminded why we had the rules almost immediately. Yeah, we tried to set those rules, and then we able to talk ourselves out of that particular one. We had to do a long passage, right? At some point, you got to get somewhere. So we had to go from Croatia to Italy.
Yeah.
And at the narrowest point, it's probably 50 or 60 miles. And we were thinking about Kelly and Nora going across and on a ferry and getting a place. And in the end, we said, there's some good weather coming. We'll be fine. It'll be quite a relaxed sail over, I think. We can break it this once. And, of course, halfway across, the wind sort of doubled in strength, the forecast. So we were expecting sort of 12 to 20. And we were getting sort of 25 and gusting up into the mid-30s and even 40 occasionally.
Yeah, that's nerve-wracking, even just for anybody sailing. That's like gets pretty intense.
But yeah, building swell from the side, and we're halfway back. We're halfway across, so it's kind of go forward or turn back. So I thought we were going to be okay. We're near a shipping channel. We can see planes going overhead. I can see land, so I'm really not concerned that anyone's in mortal danger. But you know, I'm just sitting. She's the baby's sick. Kelly's down there trying to soothe her, so she's getting sick, and I'm just up top thinking, I am the absolute worst dad in the world. So yeah, we made it, but we were pretty shaken up, and just a good little reminder of why we had the rules in the first place, and then we were a bit better at sticking to them for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. Well, that's how we learn. Our best lessons, I've always said, are the ones that are the hardest to learn. That
right.
You know, you really get punished because you did something. And that was actually what I was thinking while watching that video, was the two of them are down below, and I'm like, oh, that's a recipe for just seasickness, and it's gonna, that because it is one of those things where typically if you're feeling a bit queasy, it's like, oh, let's get up into that cockpit. But in those conditions, obviously it's not the safest thing.
Stand up, we just wanted her tied down. Didn't want to have to worry about her.
We were both covered in vomit.
She was, to be honest, she handled it like a champ. She was sick in the morning, but after she took a nap, she woke back up and she was pretty giggly and happy the
whole time.
The most of the trip, it was us who were kind of.
Probably because I was just feeding her chips.
Yeah.
Right.
Chips. I was just feeding her these chips for almost the entire time, or cookies.
So she was pretty resilient about the whole thing, but we were a bit panic stricken.
Well, and you made it though. That's the key, is that you held it all together. You got over there, and like you said, lessons are learned, and everything was okay.
There was something else interesting to come from it. Kelly has been sort of a nervous sailor for the last 3 seasons. As she said at the start, she hadn't sailed before we bought this boat originally. She's a very nervous sailor, and anything over about 15 knots or the boat heeling, she can become quite anxious and stressed out. So I was fully expecting her to be having a meltdown on this crossing, but she was calm, completely in control, cool as a cucumber. And I'm like, what's up with you? I mean, this is great, but what's changed? She's like, I don't really have the luxury to worry about being scared right now, because I've got to be after the kid. And that's been the theme for the rest of the season. She just hasn't been as worried about sailing, which is kind of interesting.
Because the kid feeds off your energy, right? So if I'm scared, she would become more anxious and more worried about it, because I'm the one who's usually with her when we're sailing. So I don't have I can't be scared anymore. I need to be brave.
Interesting. Well, and that's kind of a common theme for, captains and instructors and all that stuff. I mean, I taught sailing for decades, and now I take people offshore on their own boats and stuff. And I always am very mindful of, no matter how nervous I might be about a situation, what I am projecting and what they are seeing is, total confidence. And I think that psychologically makes you feel just a little more confident as well. It's not like a total duck on the pond where you see this beautiful bird, nothing's moving, but underneath the surface, it's like, whoa. So, that's cool. Yeah. Kind of changing the focus onto Nora. And then, And I suppose, over time, you're always going to gain more confidence and more trust in the boat, and moving up, especially to a bigger boat, a stronger boat. I would think that would just keep increasing.
I'm hoping so. Yeah, I'm hoping that this boat is not as easily knocked around as a current boat, and that gives us a bit more confidence to be able to go further and sail longer into the season, and make more of a home. Because this boat, we never expected to keep this long, and we just kind of kept it. The new boat, we'll try to really make a home and spend some time on it. We know we're going to have it. We know we're going to try to hold it for the next few years.
And is the plan to do more seasons in the Caribbean or in the Med, and then try and take it across to the Caribbean, or what's kind of the future?
That is, I think, eventually the future. So we even talked about going straight to the Caribbean now and buying something there. But I think me certainly, like I see a lot of YouTubers and Instagram people and blogs and whatever of these young people. They buy a boat, they fix it up, and in one season, after never sailing, they're crossing oceans and stuff. And that's when I get really excited, like, we've got to sail to the Caribbean, we've got to sail to Australia next year, we've got to do this, we've got to circumnavigate. And I think it was just a sort of realization I had, well, we haven't really finished exploring the Mediterranean. We know it's safe. We know the waters quite well. Maybe it's a much better idea to slow down and finish off exploring this, especially when we have a young kid, and it's somewhere where we feel comfortable, because there's no rush, there's no race, and there's no prize at the end. So, we're trying to prioritize not rushing off for no reason when there's still more to see. But ultimately, I think we'd like to get to the Caribbean one day.
Well, yeah, and I mean, that makes total sense, because if you're enjoying it and also moving up to a different and a larger vessel, that's going to already throw enough challenges your way, why add, not only that, but now completely new surroundings, totally different situation, kind of give you that home court advantage in a way.
Exactly.
But it is interesting how some of the, because I get that too, where I'm watching some of these YouTube videos and people are doing like the trade winds route around the world and all this. And I'm like, man, I got to be doing that.
Yeah.
Like I got to. And it does. It kind of fires you up.
It's really annoying that the comparison is really the thief of joy because I started off traveling and then I thought, I need to be backpacking long term. I need to be doing van life. Van lifers aren't cool. I need to be sailing. You need to be sailing longer and harder. So it always feels like you need to be doing more, and that takes away from enjoying what you are doing.
Yeah. Well, and my solution for that is to just not look at the content as much, and just try and back away from it, and come up with my own game plans and stuff. But yeah, it's true. Like the grass is always greener. It's like, I'm doing this, but boy, that sure does look fun.
Yeah, I get that back.
Oh, it's so crazy.
Saying, no, we can't do that.
Yeah. Kel is
right.
The guard pulling me back to earth.
Oh no, 100%. Where are you guys from in Australia?
Well, I'm from Australia, but Kelly's actually from the US.
I'm from Georgia.
You're from Georgia, okay? Because I was like trying to place your accent, and obviously you've been all over the world for a while, and so your accent always changes a little bit. I know mine does whenever I go places for a long time. But I was like, man, she definitely sounds like she's from the States. But every once in a while, there'll be like something where I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, exactly. Oh, okay.
From small town Georgia. When I met you had a very country accent, but it's sort of.
Yeah, if I start talking about home, I'll definitely start talking more Southern.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like too, and I say y'all a lot.
Well, can I ask, and if it's too much of a personal story, obviously no worries, but how did you guys meet?
In a hostel.
In Estonia.
In
like 2 days
oh
before
my
Christmas.
gosh.
2 days before Christmas, there was nobody else there. There was like 4 of us in the hostel, and I was the only one that spoke English.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And you were living in Europe. You were living in Amsterdam, and I was traveling. And we stayed in touch after that. And then about 2 years after that,
we started dating. So this will be our 10th Christmas together coming up, which is wild.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. How old were you when you guys met?
I don't want to age myself.
Sorry. Yeah, no, inappropriate.
Mid-20s.
Mid-20s. Oh, very cool. Well, I'm always a big sucker for one of the meet cute stories, or how people, who eventually end up getting married and starting families. And yeah, it always amazes me, how so many times it's just like this little coincidence, or like you're saying, you just bump into each other in a hostel in Estonia. And then all of a sudden that blossoms into a life of adventure together, and then building a family. I mean, it really is. It's always pretty amazing. I always love those stories.
Yeah.
It's becoming rare and rare, I believe, as well, because everyone's meeting online.
But it's still a cool story.
It is still a cool story. I won't deny that. Our meet cute was still cute.
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, and I don't know. I think I get so enthralled with it just because I'm pretty much a lone wolf. Like I kind of always have been in many ways in most of my life and stuff. And so I'm always glomming on to cousins that have families and kids and all that sort of stuff. And I love these stories about how people met and fall in love and everything. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of interesting sort of thing. And the fact that you guys have done so many different types of adventuring, I think it's just fascinating. Is it just one of those things where seeing as much of the world was just an absolute priority? What was really drawing you to kind of live this unconventional life?
Yeah, I think we both had different motivations. What you I know your story. You went traveling with your grandmother when you were 17 and thought, oh, well.
I was traveling with my mother when I was in high school. She took me to London, Paris, and Barcelona. And when I got back home, I was like, I love this. How do I get back? And I convinced my grandmother to take me back to London that Christmas, so like a couple months later. And then ever since then, I've just like loved traveling and love exploring. I come from a very, very small town of like 16,000 people. And I think that it just opened my eyes up to a different world, a different lifestyle. Being able to see all these different cultures is really something I enjoyed, even from a young age.
So you were influenced into it from your mom. Wow. Okay. I see that. I mean, our family kind of did a bit of traveling when I was younger. I think we went to Australia actually when I was about 17 or 18. My dad had been down there right after college, and he actually ended up living in Northwest Australia for like 4 years. Until he was up in, what was it, Karratha, I think.
Okay.
And then it all ended when he had a hang gliding accident at one point. Yeah, he was working for the iron ore mines up there and everything. But side note, it was one of those things where I definitely got that bug of like, wow, there's this whole huge world. And as an American, it's a little, I don't know, it's kind of hard because our country is so diverse and so big that I know a lot of people that don't have passports, haven't ever been out of the country, and they're totally fine with it because they're kind of like, wow, there's so much to see here.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a big world out there.
Yeah, we got married in Mexico, and my whole family had to get passports
to come there.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. There you go. Where in Mexico?
On the Pacific coast, a little town called San Pancho.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, very cool. Very cool. Yeah. And what was it that drew you to it, Eddie?
To travel. I was on the run. I was mid-20s, and my girlfriend dumped me, and then I got fired from my work, and then my lease was running up on my house. So sort of with no job, no girlfriend, I was facing the prospect of moving back home with my parents. And I thought, if this isn't a sign from the universe, I don't know what is.
This is not ideal.
This is not ideal. I don't know if there's anything for me here. So I bought just a one-way ticket to Bangkok and set off on a little odyssey. And by the time I made it to Europe, I met Kelly. And then I came back to Australia for a little bit, still with the idea that I wanted to travel and be in travel. So I started working in hostels back in Australia, and then eventually moved to Amsterdam to be with Kel. And before I got there, she'd decided to quit her job. And so we were really both free with no ideas of what to do next. So that seemed to be the perfect opportunity to launch a van life mission. So that's...
Wow. That is so interesting. Like, so Kelly's getting like inspired into, this travel. You're in more of like a desperation. When you first said that, on the run, I thought you were going to say, I made some mistakes. I committed some crimes and I had to get out of the country.
No, not
man. Well, I mean, on my end, so obviously 2017, 18, I did the solo nonstop. So that's like the biggest adventure I've done.
For sure.
But it was a few years, like 5 years before that, when I went out and decided to hike the Appalachian Trail, which goes
My
from...
mom wants to do that.
Dude, it's so brutal, but it's so much fun. And
you did the whole thing?
Yeah. Started down it was 2012, started March down in Georgia, and it was like 133 days to get up to Maine.
Wow.
And it was like a whole new world, because up until that point, I was just working. And I was doing fun jobs, sailing instructing, directing sailing schools and stuff. But the grind and the just constantly, like, that's all we were doing. And I just needed that break. I'd hit the burnout point. But I mean, as soon as I did that first event, I was like, holy cow, like, I need more of this. And then it's just been that ever since, where it's like, I got to adventure. I got to get out there and having those challenges and stuff. So obviously my interests are a little bit different, but that's kind of the cool thing about, I think, the adventure world and the outdoor world, is there's so many different facets that everybody finds their own little spot, their own little niche.
When you start with a 133-day hike, I mean, and you got to go up from there, that's
It makes it a little hard. Yeah, I know. Well, and that's one of my little pet peeves, I guess, is but it's fine because it happens all the time. But whenever I do presentations and stuff about the trip around the world, the first question everybody asks is like, well, what are you going to do next? And it's well,
I can't
I'm going to try and
I can. What can I do? I can go to space.
I know, right? I'm not going to sail around the planet twice or anything like that. And I don't know, but it is, I understand that there's that whole idea of like, well, this one's done. I gotta level up and I got to do something a little more challenging or a little bit bigger. But I don't know. At my age, I'm 46 now. So I'm starting to get to a point where life just looks a little bit different than it did when I was in my 30s, but it's not too bad. Not too bad. Well, okay. So just to kind of pivot over, did you guys start doing the vlog and the blog and everything? Which the channel is great, by the way. The videos are awesome. They're informative. I like how they're edited. And yeah, they're definitely really worth checking out. What made you decide to get into sharing the experience? Because I don't do a ton of it, but I know how much work it is to actually do that.
So just like the boat not being a long-term plan, the first van wasn't really a long-term plan either. We just bought it and we're like, let's just do this for 7 months or a year, and then we'll come back to reality and we'll get 9 to 5 jobs and rent an apartment. And we were 3 weeks into that, where we sort of turned to each other and were like, well, we could just keep doing this. Really, we could just be van life people. We could be those people, and started thinking about how we could make this go further. And that's what we started thinking about. And at that point, we made a blog, thinking that it would be an easy way to maybe generate some income. And it hasn't at all been, but it's been an interesting experiment, and we've enjoyed doing it. So we had a blog for a few years. We've had a blog since 2018 when we started traveling together, 2019, since we did that first van life trip. And then at some point along the way, one of our friends convinced me that we should do a vlog because they'd been watching vlogs and were very interested. So I thought, yeah, that's cool. That sounds interesting. So I just started that way, and just as equally frustrating and difficult as the blog. But if you go back and you see some of our first ones, that we've come a long way, even if they're not, sailing the Vagabond yet. I can see where we started and where we've come from, and even though it hasn't been the overnight success that I thought it might be when we set out, you can sort of see that we're making progress. So it's just a thing that we've enjoyed doing.
And if anything, it'll be great to look back on when we're older.
Worst case scenario, we've got a bunch of awesome videos of what we did when we were raising a family and starting our sailing journey.
Well, and that is definitely a very valid point. I mean, because I often go back through one of my favorite little things on my playlist are what I call just sailing views. And it's just where I've set up a GoPro. I'm somewhere on the ocean or at a beautiful marina or whatever, and I'll just turn the camera on and I just upload it. It might get like 100 views or something like that, but it's not really for anybody else. It's for me to be able to anywhere in the world turn my YouTube channel on and just go and look at that view that I remember being at, and I'm like, awesome. I love that. And I'll be able to do that for the rest of my life, hopefully, as long as YouTube doesn't go under, but I don't think it's going anywhere. But I mean, it definitely must present some more challenges, because I don't know. Now you're juggling the new boat, you've got Nora, and then you're also trying to capture all this footage. Like that is just a lot to
It's gone right out
all at once.
It's gone right out the window this season. We've captured a lot less this season, and we've just had to be a little bit more thoughtful about it. So we just thought, we'll capture this specific thing, and we'll make a video about this, rather than the first season when I did it, where it was every week trying to produce a video, just sort of waving the camera about wherever we went and turning that into a video. This season, I think we've only made a handful of videos, but they've been sort of planned out and thought about, and we've got the shots ready. So that's what we've had to do, because we just don't have the spare time now to record everything and then go through everything and edit into something comprehensible. We've just had to become a little bit more accurate with it.
Well, and I think that's probably actually a decent thing to be doing at this point, because I do kind of feel like the episodic, like, okay, this is what happened this week, and then this is what happened next week. It has, and this is my opinion, but I think YouTube's been so flooded with so many people doing that it's kind of like people are looking for a little bit more of specific content.
Yeah.
Like what you're talking about, like, okay, now we have a baby on board. How are we dealing with this? And,
Exactly right.
having that subject material. So
we're also quite dull people. So we didn't have the personalities to carry those episodic. I'd watch these things back and be like, this isn't like the other ones, because most of the time we're just sitting there working from the
right.
Or not doing that much interesting stuff. So for us, I think it does make sense not to just do what everyone else has done before, because we're not necessarily those people.
And you don't want to do a bunch of fake drama where it's like, all right,
we're just no good at it. We try to, like, even trying to fake it is very hard to watch. So I think I'm trying to find our strengths and sharing some information about what we've gone through and how we've done it, probably more helpful to other people and more true to ourselves and more fun to make, really.
Well, and that is, I think that's an absolute key is keeping things honest, keeping things authentic, because you can really tell when things are, kind of scripted, kind of edited, and at least me personally, that loses my attention immediately. Right. I'm switching right off. So that's for sure. Okay, so to get into a little bit, because I've only crossed the Med from like Gibraltar to Turkey, and we stopped in Sardinia. This was on a yacht delivery, decade ago. But I've never been able to actually cruise any of the Greek islands or Croatia or any of that sort of stuff. Are there any kind of, I don't know, highlights, top tips, really scary moments, things that you might warn people about cruising the Med? Because you've got 4 seasons under your belt now.
It's very busy in the summer, would be my one thing. Don't come in July or August, because you have all the charter companies who are renting out boats to people who are coming down for a 1 week, 2 week holiday. And so it can get very busy.
So, and one of the most dangerous things is all these people coming in and getting boats and not exactly knowing how to use them. So every afternoon, boats pulling off their anchor and drifting through busy anchorages and things like this. So that is probably the biggest danger, because outside of that, it is in summer, very stable, predictable place to sail with lots of protected anchorages, lots of islands, no tide to speak of, nice deep waterways.
Are there lots of mooring buoys set up there where instead of having to anchor everywhere?
Yeah, Croatia in particular leans into the mooring buoys.
Okay.
Greece, not so much.
Greece, it's more every little town has a little town key where they ask you to tie up stern to with your anchor out front.
Right. And that's always pretty tricky. We've done that before. And compared to what we do in the States, everybody's got a pier and they tie up, side to it. It's a bit of a shock when you're like, okay, we got to throw your anchor out while we're trying to dock. All right.
It's a bit tricky until you get used to it, but it doesn't take long to get used to it. And as long as there's no crosswind or anything, it's actually quite simple, because as soon as your anchor hits the ground, then it's holding your bow.
Yeah.
So you just got to, as long as you can aim towards the shore, then you're okay. But the real problem comes with the charter boats and everybody coming in and trying their hand at this for the first time and dropping their anchor across everybody else's and things like this. That's the danger.
I saw one charter boat the other day take out 3 boats with their anchor, and I was like, I don't even know how you do that.
How you managed to get it?
How did you manage to take out 3? It was wild. There was a serious crosswind, but everyone was so mad, screaming at the man, poor man.
Oh, it becomes just absolutely chaotic. I mean, I've definitely seen plenty of the videos, but so I worked for the Bitter End Yacht Club down in the British Virgin Islands. And one of the, kind of activities there at the resort was right around 5 p.m. when all these charter boats would come in and dock. the winds in that particular area back in the day before, it got taken up by the hurricanes, they would flip flop 180 degrees every like 30 seconds. And people would sit at the pub and we would just all watch as the chaos ensued. And oh man. Yeah. I mean, you're 100% right. That is one of the big threats for sure.
It's definitely a guilty pleasure of ours. Once we're in and safe, and we've finished doing our own stuff.
Right.
Getting in the cockpit and watching everybody else and sort of armchair experting how they could have done it different is not a bad way to spend an afternoon for sure.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, and so outside of Greece and Croatia, what other spots have you hit?
So we started in Croatia. We bought the boat in Croatia, and that first season we sailed it through Montenegro, which we didn't know anything about, and we're just absolutely delighted to find a really beautiful area to sail. The Bay of Kotor and the coast of Montenegro were absolutely magic. Very few charters or other boats at all really to share it with. Excuse me for 1 second.
Mm-hmm. No worries.
Can you grab a phone charger? Sorry, because my internet will drop out if I don't plug this in.
Oh, gotcha.
Sorry. So we cruised through Montenegro, and it was absolutely stunning. Didn't have the same amount of sailors in it, but still had really good facilities and absolutely stunning coastline.
Yeah.
A bit of a problem with katabatic winds coming off the sides of the bay in Kotor, but very easy, gentle place to sail. And then we sailed into Albania, which we also didn't know much about, and that was sort of the opposite experience. Very underdeveloped for sailors, sort of areas where they haven't finished doing charts, and they tell you not to drop an anchor in case there's sea mines below you.
Oh my gosh!
Police running you out of anchorages and things.
Oh really? Wow!
And at this point we'd only been sailing for a few months, so it was, and we hadn't known what to expect. We've since gone back through Albania and treated it like an adventure, and it's been better, but the first time was a bit of a shock. And then into Greece, staying in the Ionian Islands, we sailed between Corfu and Paxos and the mainland and Lefkada and Kefalonia, and it's this part of Greece on the east that is predictable and calm, and when you move into the center and the west, it gets quite windy with the Meltelmi winds, and in those windswept islands like the Cyclades, it can be quite challenging. But where we've stayed,
I'm sure.
It's as Kel said earlier, just a really nice place to learn to sail. And the only other place we've taken the boat is across to Italy this season. And people told us that the west coast of Italy was a bit hard on sailors because there were fewer marinas and sort of long passages. We decided we wanted to see it for ourselves, and it was, as everyone said, very few marinas and long passages and few anchorages. So we did find it challenging, especially with the baby.
We broke a lot of those 4-hour passages rule.
Yeah, we broke.
Right.
There's just no choice but to sail for 8 hours to get to the next port.
But then we arrived back in Greece, and spent the rest of the season really experiencing the kind of sailing that we wanted to show Nora, sort of sailing a short way in the afternoon with some wind, and then waking up in a new anchorage and swimming and going ashore and exploring little islands and little towns and eating at tavernas. It's been really special. Yeah. I don't think she'll remember the specifics, but I got to imagine it's a pretty cool thing for her to experience.
Well, yeah, I mean, and going forward, I mean, with getting the new boat and the bigger boat, obviously you're putting down a bit of a commitment, and thinking of it from Nora's perspective. So she's 14 months now, I think you said right. Last time.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And boy, my memory's just on.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, going forward over the next maybe 3-5 years, she's now 6-7 years old almost. Mm-hmm. She's been on the boat, growing up in that lifestyle. I mean, I would think that is such a unique but also incredible childhood of exploration, and just what that would propel a human being into how they would go about the rest of their lives is fascinating.
Yeah, we certainly hope so. We hope that it's net positive, and that gives her something more than it takes away from her. The only problem we have is trying to find people for her to socialize with. I mean, we've noticed this season that there's less newborns sailing around as we might have thought. We've met
Oh,
a
right.
couple, and there's certainly lots of kids a little bit older than her, but finding kids her age has been a bit of a struggle.
Oh, I'm sure. But I would think that as, as she goes from an infant to like a toddler, I would think that would probably change a little bit. I mean, I guess in the States, kids go into like kindergarten when they're about 5 or 6 years old, I think. Isn't that right, Kelly?
4, 5. Pre-K.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
Pre-K. Oh, yeah. Pre-K. Okay. So yeah, I mean, geez, when that time comes, what's the idea there as far as like schooling and all that sort of stuff?
It's a good question.
One we're still trying to figure out.
Still figuring out.
You got time. You got time.
Yeah, that's what we're just saying. Let's just get through this bit, see how long we can do the sailing for, and how she adapts to it, and whether we think she's getting something out of it, and then we'll think about what we want to do for the next step.
Wow. Absolutely amazing. This is super cool, man. I can't thank you guys enough. I don't know if I have any more questions on any of this sort of stuff. We're getting to about 50 minutes here. Is there anything that you guys would like to plug or possibly shout out while we got a little few minutes?
No, beyond the blog and the vlog, if people are interested in sailing with a baby or just sailing as a young family or a young couple, that's where we share most of our stuff. But just in general, I guess our takeaway from the season, we had such a huge question mark hanging over us. Is this a good idea? Is this going to work? Are we absolutely crazy? And it's ended up being far and away our best season ever. It's just been absolutely amazing to be able to share this with her and sort of see it through her eyes and be able to go swimming off the deck with her in the afternoon and teach her to swim every day in the crystal clear waters of Greece. It's been something really special. So we're very glad we did it. And would encourage anyone else thinking about it to give it a crack, no matter how old their kids are.
And I think that's the underlying theme there too is a lot of times these days when challenges present themselves, it's sort of like you try and like shy away from it. It's like I don't want to have to do that too. But if you are willing to take on and put the effort into and take on a challenge like that, the rewards can sometimes surprise you, and you can find like, oh, actually it was a lot harder. There was a whole lot more we had to do, but that was an experience that, was so much better than we thought it could ever be. And that sort of stuff comes out.
Absolutely. Just living together in a small space the way I think people are probably designed to. I mean, that alone has been really cool for us to just be a family unit together and sort of face these challenges together has been a special, even if Nora doesn't remember it, I certainly will. It's been a really, really nice way to spend a season.
Well, and I mean, I'm constantly reminding some of my cousins when they get frustrated with their kids, having nuclear meltdowns and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, a kid's going to be old soon enough, and you got to cherish these moments. And it sounds like you guys are definitely getting some very good quality family time. Yeah, which because what's more important than that?
It's so true. When you have a kid, everybody tells you that, don't they? It all goes by so quick, and you go, yeah, sure. But as soon as you have a kid and it starts flying by, you see what they're talking about, and we're glad that we've got at least the next little while mapped out to spend some quality time with her while we have her.
Oh, that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, man. Well, thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Nora, for coming on the show and sharing some of the experiences. And hopefully we'll be able to check back in some point in the future and see how things are going. But I'll definitely keep tabs on the videos and everything coming out. And I wish you guys the best of luck for the upcoming winter season.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity to have a chat. It was fun.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Cool.
And